Ladies and gentlemen, some of you wake up in the morning already feeling tired, not because your body is weak, but because your spirit is drained. You have been carrying problems that were never yours to handle. You go to bed thinking about it, wake up stressing about it, and drag yourself through the day with it sitting heavy on your chest. That weight is exhausting you because you were never meant to carry it in the first place. Think about it. If you were moving into a new house, you wouldn't try to lift every piece of furniture alone. You'd ask for help. You get movers. You'd use tools to make the load easier. But in life, when the burdens pile up, instead of giving it to the one who has the strength to carry it, you strap it tighter to your back and keep struggling. That's why you are breaking down. Not because you are weak, but because you are carrying what isn't yours. Some of you are trying to fix your children, fix your marriage, fix your finances, fix every single detail of your life, and it's eating you alive. You are losing sleep. You are losing joy. You are losing yourself because you believe it's all on you. You were never designed to handle everything. That role belongs to God. When you try to do His job, life becomes heavier than it needs to be. When you insist on carrying everything, you block God's hand from moving. You are trying to play His role, and that's why you stay frustrated. There are battles you will never win on your own. There are storms you will never calm by yourself. There are doors you will never open in your own strength. The more you try to hold on to them, the more they drag you down. Take a real look at your life right now. How much of that pressure is really necessary? How much of it comes from refusing to let go? Some of you are carrying shame from mistakes that God already forgave. Some of you are holding on to fear about tomorrow when God already secured your future. You are living under weights that don't belong to you and is robbing you of peace. Life is like a race, and you can't run with a backpack full of bricks. It doesn't matter how strong your legs are, you will collapse under the load. And yet that's what some of you are doing every day. God is standing right there asking you to give Him the bricks, and you are still saying, "No, I've got this." You can't run into your destiny like that. You can't step into your blessing like that. The moment you release that weight, you will feel freedom like you haven't in years. The moment you stop trying to do it all in your own strength, you will realize you were never supposed to. It was always His strength carrying you. Let go of the bags that don't belong to you. Because freedom starts when you stop carrying what was never you. You can try all you want, but the truth is you will never be able to control life. You can't control who walks in or out of your life. You can't control how people treat you. You can't control the timing of opportunities. You can't control how every situation unfolds. Yet so many people live frustrated, broken, and bitter, because they are trying to control the uncontrollable. That's why they end up stressed and disappointed, because life doesn't bend to human will. It bends to divine order. The problem comes when you think that being in control equals being safe. You believe that if you can just manage everything perfectly, nothing bad will happen. But that's not how life works. You can plan every detail and something unexpected will still shake it up. You can prepare for one outcome and life will throw a curveball you didn't see coming. The more you fight it, the more exhausted you become, because you are wrestling with things you will never have power over. Think about how much energy you have wasted trying to control what people think about you. You want everyone to like you, to approve of you, to validate you. But no matter how good you are, someone will still find something to criticize. That's out of your control. You can't live your life trying to shape how others see you. The only thing you can do is be true to who you are and let God handle the rest. Look at your job, your career, your finance. You can work hard. You can give your best, but you can't control the market. You can't control layoffs. You can't control unexpected expenses. And when you think you can, life will remind you real quick that it's not your hands running the show. That's why surrender is so powerful. Because once you stop obsessing over control, you start living with peace. It's the same with relationships. You can't control if someone stays faithful. You can't control if someone chooses to walk away. You can't control their loyalty, their growth, their choice. And yet so many people drive themselves crazy trying to manipulate outcomes, trying to force people to be what they are not ready to be. You will never find peace that way. The only thing you can do is love, give, and trust God to handle what you can. When you stop trying to control everything, you free yourself. You free your mind from stress. You free your heart from unnecessary pain. You free your spirit from battles that don't belong to you. The tighter you try to hold on, the more life will slip out of your grip. But the moment you loosen that grip and let God take it, the more clarity you will gain, the more peace you will feel, and the more doors will open, without you forcing them. The truth is, control is an illusion. You never really had it to begin with. You thought you did, but the reality is you have only ever been in control of your decisions, your attitude, your effort, and your faith. Everything else belongs in God's hands. Once you embrace that truth, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. And that's where you will find real strength. Worry has never paid a single bill, fixed a single relationship, or solved a single problem in your life. Yet so many people give worry all their time, all their energy, all their thoughts, as if it has the power to change something. Worry is nothing but a thief. It robs you of sleep at night, it steals your peace during the day, and it keeps you stuck in a cycle of fear that produces nothing. Think about the hours you have spent sitting, pacing, overthinking and replaying every scenario in your mind. What did it change? Nothing. The outcome stayed the same, but your body carried the stress, your mind carried the tension, and your spirit carried the weight. That's why worry is so dangerous. It weakens you from the inside out, while giving you nothing in return. Worry is like rocking in a chair. You are moving, but you are not going anywhere. You spend energy, you lose time, you feel drained, but you are still stuck in the same place. That's the trap. Worry makes you feel like you are doing something, but you are actually doing nothing. It's a false activity that distracts you from faith, from action, from hope. When you worry, you are basically telling yourself, I don't believe this will work out. You are speaking defeat before the battle even starts. That mindset creates stress, anxiety, and panic. And soon you start making poor choices because you are reacting out of fear instead of moving with faith. Worry clouds your vision so badly that even when solutions are right in front of you, you can't see them. Worry also keeps you living in the future instead of the present. You are anxious about what might happen, so you miss what's happening now. You miss the blessings that are right in your hands, because your mind is stuck on problems that haven't even arrived yet. And most of the time, the things you worry about don't even happen. You carry unnecessary pain for situations that never existed. When you replace worry with faith, everything changes. Faith doesn't ignore the problem, but it chooses to trust through the problem. Faith says, I don't know how, but I believe it will work out. That shift calms your heart, clears your mind, and gives you strength to keep moving. Worry drains you, but faith fuels you. Worry paralyzes you, but faith pushes you forward. The truth is, you only get one mind and one heart. Worry fills both with fear, but faith fills both with hope. You can't have both ruling you at the same time. Every moment you spend worrying is a moment you could have spent praying, believing, or building. That's why worry is useless. It keeps you busy, but leaves you empty, while faith keeps you steady and makes you strong. One of the hardest life lessons is realizing that your clock and God's clock don't tick the same. You think you are ready, you think it should have happened by now. You think the delay means denial, but what you call late, God calls right on schedule. He doesn't move according to your calendar. He moves according to purpose. And if you could see what he sees, you'd understand why things didn't happen when you wanted them to. Some of you are frustrated because you have been praying, you have been working, you have been waiting, but nothing seems to shift. You see other people moving forward, and you start to wonder if God forgot about you. But you don't know what he's protecting you from. You don't know what doors he kept shut because behind them was heartbreak, disappointment, or danger. Delay doesn't mean he ignored you. It means he's aligning things in ways you can't yet see. Think about a farmer planting seeds. He doesn't dig them up every day to check if they are growing. He plants, he waters, he waits. He knows the process takes time, but you, on the other hand, want your life to bloom overnight. You want instant success, instant answers, instant breakthroughs, but life doesn't work like that. Growth takes time. Preparation takes time. And sometimes God is holding you back because what's ahead requires a stronger version of you. Look at the times you thought God was late, but later realized he was right on time. You didn't get that job when you wanted, but months later, a better one opened. That relationship ended, and you were devastated. But years later, you saw it was the best thing that could have happened. If he had given you what you wanted when you wanted it, it would have destroyed you. His timing saved you, even when you didn't understand. Waiting isn't punishment, it's development. While you are waiting, God is teaching you patience. While you are waiting, He's building your faith. While you are waiting, He's removing people and things that can't go where He's taken you. Every moment of waiting has a purpose. But if you are too focused on the delay, you will miss the lesson that's shaping you into who you need to be. Impatience will make you settle for less than what you deserve. If you keep forcing doors to open before they are ready, you will walk into rooms you are not equipped to handle. That's why trusting His timing is so important. He knows when you are ready. He knows when the opportunity is ripe. He knows when the blessing won't crush you, but will elevate you. What looks like a delay is often protection until you are strong enough to carry the promise. When you stop rushing Him and start trusting Him, your whole perspective changes. You stop comparing your timeline to others. You stop panicking about being behind. You start realizing that your journey is custom-made, and your blessings are tailor-fit for you. Trusting His timing means resting in the fact that you are exactly where you are supposed to be right now. Even if it doesn't look like it yet, there are moments in life where you feel completely shattered. Like everything you trusted, everything you built, everything you believed in, has fallen apart. You feel like the pieces of your life are scattered, and no matter how hard you try, you can't put them back together. That brokenness is painful. But what you don't realize in the moment is that sometimes God has to break you to rebuild you into something stronger than you were before. Brokenness strips away pride, ego, and the illusion that you can do it all on your own. When you are broken, you come face to face with your humanity. You realize your strength has limits, your plans don't always work, and your control is an illusion. It's in those moments, when you are at your lowest, that you finally open your hands and allow God to take over. And that surrender is where the breakthrough begins. Think about how a seed works. Before it grows into a tree, it first has to break open in the soil. That breaking process looks like destruction but is actually the beginning of life. Without the breaking, there is no growth. Without the breaking, there is no new creation. Your life works the same way. The seasons where you feel crushed are often the seasons where something greater is being birthed in you. Many of the strongest people you know didn't get their strength from comfort. They got it from pain. They learned resilience in the fire. They learned patience in the waiting. They learned faith in the darkness. You admire their strength now, but you don't see the nights they cried themselves to sleep, the battles they fought in silence, the moments they thought they'd never make it. Their brokenness was the training ground for their breakthrough. When you are broken, you start to see life differently. The things you thought mattered suddenly don't hold as much weight. The people you thought you couldn't live without, you realize weren't really for you. The priorities you once chased start to shift. Brokenness has a way of reshaping your vision, so you can finally see what really matters and where God is truly leading you. It's in the breaking that your faith gets tested and stretched. Anybody can believe when life is smooth, when everything is working, when prayers are answered quickly. But when you are broken, when nothing makes sense, when everything feels heavy, that's when your faith gets real. That's when you learn how to trust beyond what you see. That's when you discover that even in your weakest state, His strength is still enough to carry you. Breakthrough never comes without breaking. The pain you are feeling now might just be the doorway to your next level. The tears you cry might be watering the very soil where your blessing will grow. Brokenness doesn't mean the end. It often means a new beginning is forming right under the surface, waiting for its moment to rise. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they have to help God out with their situation. You pray for Him to open a door, then the moment it doesn't open fast enough, you start pushing on it yourself. You ask Him to guide your steps, but then you are out here running ahead, taking shortcuts, forcing things that don't belong to you. That's why you stay frustrated, because you are trying to do His part instead of trusting Him to do it in His way. God doesn't need an assistant. He doesn't need you to manipulate outcomes, twist situations, or beg people to stay in your life who He has already removed. All He needs is your trust. Trust is not sitting around doing nothing. It's moving forward with confidence, believing that even if you don't see the whole picture, He's already worked it out behind the scenes. Trust is choosing faith over control, even when it doesn't make sense. When you try to take matters into your own hands, you end up delaying the blessing. How many times have you rushed into something because you couldn't wait only to regret it later? How many times have you forced a relationship, a job, or an opportunity that looked good in the moment, but left you empty in the end? That's what happens when you try to help God. you end up with something temporary instead of the blessing he had prepared. Trust requires patience, and patience is uncomfortable. We live in a world that tells us everything has to be fast. Fast money, fast success, fast results. But God doesn't work on shortcuts. He works on foundations. He builds things to last, and that takes time. If you keep trying to speed him up, you will miss the depth, the lessons, and the strength he's building in you for the long run. Look back at your life for a moment. The times you truly trusted him, didn't things eventually fall into place? Maybe not how you thought, maybe not when you thought, but didn't it work out better than your version of the plan? And on the flip side, the times you took control into your own hands, how much chaos and unnecessary pain did that bring? There's a pattern here. His way works, your way falls apart. The truth is, trust is surrender. Trust says, I don't need to know how, I don't need to know when, I just need to know who. When you stop trying to fix everything and start believing that he already has the answer, the rest pressure lifts off your shoulder. You no longer feel the need to chase, to force, to stress. You begin to move with peace because you know the outcome is already secured in his hands. God isn't asking you to help him figure it out. He's asking you to hand it over and believe he already has it figured out. That's the difference. You don't have to manipulate, you don't have to push, you don't have to scheme. All you need to do is trust, because trust opens the door for him to do what only he can do. Some of you are exhausted because you have been fighting battles that were never meant for you. You have been trying to defend people who don't even care about your loyalty. You have been trying to control situations that were never your responsibility. You have been carrying weight that belongs to someone else, and it's draining you, leaving you frustrated, angry, and defeated. Life has a way of handing out responsibilities we aren't ready for, and if we don't pay attention, we step into battles we don't need to fight. When you try to fight someone else's war, you not only lose energy, but you also delay your own blessings. God has assigned battles to each person, and when you try to fight for someone else, you miss the victories he already has waiting for you. The problem is pride. We think we can handle everything. We think that if we step back, no one will fight for themselves. But that's not our job. Some people need to learn their own lessons. Some battles are God's to fight, not yours. And when you step out of your lane, you end up bruised, worn out, and bitter, wondering why life keeps knocking you down. Think about how much peace you have lost, because you have been trying to control outcomes that weren't yours. You have wasted time and energy on arguments, situations, and conflicts that would have resolved themselves if you'd let God handle them. You have been standing in the wrong battlefield, fighting the wrong fight, while your own purpose waits for you to step into. God doesn't call you to be everyone's hero. He calls you to be faithful in your own life, to stay in your lane, and to trust him to handle the rest. He is the one who orchestrates justice, opens doors, and removes obstacles. When you try to do it yourself, you are not helping anyone. You are only complicating things and exhausting yourself. Some of you have been holding grudges, defending reputations, and worrying about other people's choices. That's not your responsibility. Your job is to stay faithful, stay strong, and stay aligned with God's purpose for you. The moment you let go of battles that aren't yours, you free yourself to walk fully into the victories that are truly yours. Stop trying to win fights that God never asked you to fight. Stop exhausting yourself over things outside your control. Step back, breathe, and let him handle. Focus on your own journey, your own growth, and your own blessings. And watch how the right battles are fought for you without you even lifting a finger. True peace isn't found in controlling every situation. It's found in letting go and letting God take over. So many people chase peace through power, manipulation, or effort, but that kind of peace is temporary. Real peace comes when you finally release the need to fix everything yourself, and trust that God is in control. Surrender is not weakness, it's the courage to say, I can't, but you can. Surrender is hard because it requires humility. It means admitting that you don't have all the answers. You can't handle everything, and sometimes you are not meant to understand the full plan. But that's exactly where peace begins. When you stop fighting, stop arguing, and stop pushing against what is beyond your control. The moment you lay it down, a weight lifts off your shoulders that you didn't even realize you were carrying. When you surrender, you stop resisting life. You stop stressing over outcomes, people, and situations that aren't yours to manage. You stop overthinking and overanalyzing,
every little detail. And suddenly space opens up in your mind, heart, and spirit, for clarity, for direction, and for God's guide. Surrender doesn't remove challenges, but it changes your ability to handle them with calm and confidence. Some of you have been fighting the same battles for years, exhausting yourself emotionally and mentally. You keep trying to make things happen on your timetable, but God has His own time. Surrender doesn't mean action. It means you do your part faithfully, but you stop obsessing over what only God can do. That is where peace begins to flow naturally, without force, without strain, and without worry. Surrender allows God to work in ways you couldn't even imagine. When you take control, you block His miracles, you block His movement, you block His plan. But when you release your grip, you create room for His power to move freely. That's when you start seeing solutions you didn't think were possible, doors opening that you didn't even know existed, and blessings arriving that exceed your expectations. Peace through surrender is also about letting go of fear. Fear thrives in control, in trying to manipulate outcomes, and in believing the future is uncertain. But when you surrender, fear loses its grip. You start trusting that no matter what happens, God has you. He sees you and He is working behind the scenes. That trust transforms anxiety into calm and panic into confidence. The beauty of surrender is that it frees you to live fully in the present. You stop replaying the past and stop worrying about the future. You focus on today, on what you can do, on who you can be, and on the faith that God will handle the rest. Peace doesn't come from perfect circumstances. It comes from a surrendered heart that trusts the one who is always faithful. One of the most freeing truths in life is realizing that God already knows how your story ends. You don't have to panic, you don't have to force things, and you don't have to worry about failing. He sees the entire picture, the full timeline, and every twist and turn that you can't even begin to understand. That means even when life feels chaotic, even when nothing makes sense, the ending has already been written and it's good. You worry because you are trying to see the whole story before it unfolds. You get anxious because you want to know how it will turn out before you even start. But God doesn't need you to understand it to work it out. He knows every detail, every delay, every disappointment, and every blessing. While you are stressing over the middle of your story, He is already preparing the ending in your favor. Think about the times in your life when you didn't understand why something happened, and months or years later, it made perfect sense. That was God orchestrating the ending, before you could see it. What seemed like setbacks were actually setups. What felt like delays were actually divine timing. If you could see the whole story, you would understand that everything He allows is working together for your good. The problem is we live in the moment, and the moment often looks like chaos. We see broken relationships, failed plans, and doors slammed in our faces, and we panic. But that's exactly when you have to remember that God already knows the end. He isn't surprised by your circumstances, and nothing catches Him off guard. While you are stressed, He's already moving things into place. When you trust that He already knows the ending, your perspective changes. You stop reacting to temporary setbacks, as if they define your story. You stop comparing your progress to others, because you understand that everyone's journey has a unique ending that only God sees. That trust allows you to walk boldly, to take risks, and to pursue purpose without fear. Faith is not believing that things will be easy. It's believing that the ending is secure. You might not see how the pieces fit, but God does. He sees the victories before you step into them. He sees the breakthroughs before you even know you need them. And He sees the joy, the peace, and the fulfillment waiting for you when the story reaches its climax. When you accept that God already knows the ending, it frees you to stop controlling, stop worrying, and stop forcing outcomes. You can finally focus on the present, on the work He's given you to do, and on the growth He wants for you. You can step forward with confidence, because the one who knows the end is faithful to lead you through every chapter. Many of us limit God by our own imagination. We think we know what's best. We think we know what we need, and we draw boundaries around our dreams, based on what we can see, or what seems possible. But God's plans are bigger, higher, and far more powerful than anything we can conceive. What we settle for in life is often just a fraction of what He intended for us. You have probably prayed for something, worked hard, and even imagined how it would look only to be frustrated when it didn't happen exactly as you planned. That's because your plan is small, but his plan is monumental. You can't fit the full scope of God's blessing into the tiny box of your expectation. He wants more for you, and sometimes that more is beyond what you even dare to dream. The problem is impatience. You see the gap between your limited plan and the bigger vision God has, and you get frustrated, thinking he isn't answering. But the truth is, he's trying to stretch you to handle the bigger picture. He's trying to expand your capacity, so you can carry more than you ever imagined. Your small plan can't contain the weight of your destiny. When you realize that your vision is small, it changes your perspective. You stop comparing yourself to others, because you understand that he is leading you uniquely. You stop stressing over timelines, because you recognize that your idea of enough doesn't match his idea of abundance. You begin to trust that what he has is far beyond what you could achieve on your own. Many people quit too early, because they can only see what they have imagined. They don't realize that God has something bigger waiting for them, if they would just be patient. Doors may close that you wanted to enter, relationships may end that you thought were permanent, and plans may fail that you invested in. But it's all because he has a greater version of your life waiting on the other side. Your responsibility is not to limit God with your small plan. Your responsibility is to dream big, work hard, stay faithful, and trust that his plans are far greater than your imagination. He doesn't just want to meet your expectations. He wants to exceed them in ways you can't even comprehend. That's why surrender and faith are crucial. You can't receive what's bigger than your own plan until you let go of the limits you have created. When you stop confining God to your small vision and start trusting his grand design, your life opens up in ways you never thought possible. You begin to see opportunities, blessings, and breakthroughs that defy your imagination. You realize that your own plans were never enough, but his plan is always more than enough, and it's waiting for you to step fully into. Fear is one of the biggest obstacles standing between you and your destiny. It paralyzes you, it clouds your judgment, and it convinces you that the worst-case scenario is inevitable. The problem is fear thrives in the absence of fear. The more you focus on what could go wrong, the less space you give God to show you what could go right. Fear and faith cannot coexist. They compete for control, and one will always dominate your heart. When fear shows up, it tries to convince you to settle for less. It whispers, "You can't do this. You are not ready. You will fail." And if you listen, you end up shrinking your vision, abandoning your dreams, and living far below your potential. But faith is louder than fear. When you let it, faith reminds you that God is bigger than the obstacle, stronger than the struggle, and already has the victory secured for you. Fear is emotional, impulsive, and short-sighted. It focuses only on the immediate danger, the temporary setback, or the problem in front of you. Faith, on the other hand, looks beyond the moment. Faith sees the bigger picture. Faith understands that what you face today is only a small chapter in a story God is writing, and no matter how threatening it looks, the ending is already in your favor. The struggle comes when you try to balance fear and faith. You pray for courage while letting fear control your decisions. You hope for breakthroughs while letting fear dictate your actions. But you can't live that way. You must make a choice. Either you give in to fear, or you rise in faith. There's no middle ground, no compromise, and no room for both to coexist. If you want to move forward, fear can also mask itself as practicality. It tells you that caution is wisdom, that doubt is prudence, that hesitation is smart. But most of the time, fear dressed up as practicality is just a way to avoid the risk God is calling you to take. Faith requires action even when the outcome isn't guaranteed.
Faith moves forward when fear wants to stop, and that is where growth, blessing, and breakthrough are found. Every time you step out despite fear, faith grows stronger. Every time you trust God over what your mind perceives as danger, your spirit becomes bolder. Fear will always try to whisper, but the more you act in faith, the more you silence that voice. It doesn't disappear completely, but it becomes irrelevant, because you are focused on God and his promises instead of your own doubts. The truth is, fear is a liar. Faith is the weapon that exposes it. When you embrace faith fully, fear has no place to operate. You start seeing opportunities instead of obstacles, solutions instead of problems, and freedom instead of limitation. Fear and faith cannot live together. So the choice is yours. Let faith dominate, and watch God move in ways that fear never could imagine. Sometimes you look at life and see a door slam shut in your face, and your first reaction is disappointment. You think, why me? I worked hard. I prayed. I deserved this. But what you don't see in the moment is that closed doors are often God's way of redirecting you to something better. A rejection, a delay, or a missed opportunity is not the end. It's protection. Closed doors force you to pause, to reevaluate, and to shift your focus. They make you stop chasing the wrong people, the wrong jobs, and the wrong paths. Often what seems like failure is actually a redirection to a place that aligns with your purpose. A place where your gift will shine and your life will expand beyond your imagination. Think about every time you face rejection. That note that crushed you at the moment often became the yes that changed your life later. If that door had opened when you first knocked, you wouldn't have had the growth, the preparation, or the clarity to step into the bigger blessing waiting for you. Closed doors aren't punishment. They are a sign that God is orchestrating your life with precision.